Welcome to today's episode of the Tamika L. Herbert Show. Welcome to today's episode of Conquer the Fight of Life. You are in for a great treat. Hold on a second. I keep it all the way 100. Let me put my glasses on so I can see. Today's guest, we're going to read the bio of my guest today. Kelvin Woods is a 49-year-old Portland native and the youngest of 5 siblings from a single mother. He's the father of 5 beautiful and grown, he wanted me to make sure I say and grown, children, and the grandfather of 5, all of the boys. He's been married to his wonderful wife, Andrea, for almost 10 years. Besides spending time with family and friends, his passion is music, which inspired him to be a DJ way back in the 80s. That's when there was real good music. Man, okay, I just went back. Okay, I'm there. Man, give me some Jodeci. Okay. That might have been 90s. But anywho, so he's a DJ Doc Rock. And he continues that passion today with his love of music, part-time being a DJ. Guess what, everybody? Kelvin Woods is a breast cancer survivor and strongly advocates for self-proactive health and wellness and care. Yes, you heard me right. Kelvin Woods, he's a male, a Black male. Welcome to the show, Kelvin.
Hey, I'm honored,
man,
to be here.
That they still might be tripping. So
yeah,
what are you?
Man, hey, I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I'm telling you, and it's a wonderful place to be on this side of our journey.
1,000%.
Yeah,
1,000%.
Yes.
I am with you on that. I think Kelvin and I met. Man, I want to say it was about 2015 or 2016.
Yeah,
was our first encounter.
Yeah, it was 2015. And also, let me correct one thing too. And I might put that wrong in my bio. I'm 59 years old now, not 49.
Did I think
49? Yeah, but
I could think of
but I could have been.
It's not.
I could have put that in there, you know. But yeah, we met 2015 at the at an event.
Yeah.
You know, at a breast cancer event. You know, and it was my first year. It was a year that I started my chemotherapy.
He's going ahead. He ready.
Yeah. It was a year that, you know, that I started, you know, I was a couple of months into my chemotherapy, and I wanted to be involved in a particular event, and I was blessed to be able to, you know, to be involved in it as a DJ, and I was there, and out of the thousands of people that were there, me and you connected somehow. I don't know where.
I know how.
Whatever.
I know how.
You know?
Let me tell you what it was, because I vividly recall that. So, first of all, it's very interesting for you to even say it was your first event, because it was mine as well, right? As a matter of fact, I pushed back one of my surgeries to ensure I was present at that event.
Yes.
How I came to see you, besides the wonderful music when I was out there shaking the tail feather, like I was Tina. I remember seeing you from afar, and you had a shirt on that says, I think it says, "Men have breast cancer too." And I'm like,
I got the shirt on right now. Let me tell this.
And not just like I was tracking you, running you down. And I was just so, I think that's what I did. This is what I did. Y'all, like, I was kind of speechless. I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
what's up? I think we probably talked for like 45.
Oh yeah, we talked.
We talked.
We talked for a
Was your wife? Your wife was over there just like,
we talked for a while, and it was a very good conversation, and it meant so much to us too, just to connect at the time. It wasn't a lot of people like us that looked like us.
Yes,
that were
yes.
at the event.
Yes.
You know, there wasn't a lot of people there that knew anything about who I was or what I was going through. I mean, that event had never had a DJ at the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time I talked them into it, and they said, "Hey, we'll go ahead and try it."
Oh my Jiminy Cricket!
And they have been having that event for years, you know. And I talked them into it. So a lot of people just figured, "Hey, I'm just there," And I didn't even think that since it was my first event doing that, I don't think that the people that put on the event gave me a microphone. So I was DJing, playing music, but I didn't have a microphone where, I could kind of like cheer people on and stuff like that. That following year I did, but that first year I didn't. So a lot of people didn't know that. So that was one reason why I wore that shirt, because I wanted people to see. And then when the event, when my card event was over with, and I walked over to, where the Survivor Village was, and just where everybody was congregating at, walking around with the shirt on, and I had a few people like, what's up? I saw you, we talked that. And that's where it began for us, and then ever since then, we managed to stay in touch and managed to continuously run into each other like randomly at just different stuff that we was just like, hey, I didn't know you were going to be like that.
I didn't know you were going to be. That's just, oh my goodness. Well, you know what? Like there's so much you guys are in store for, and I'm going to put my glasses back on because we're going to keep it all the way 100. And for you just to even talk about, I think I have a picture of me coming across the finish line. Wow. So when that is shown, that's going to be bananas.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about how we met. So tell us, what was your diagnosis like? When do you recall the date of your diagnosis, and just the story leading up to your breast cancer diagnosis? Like,
okay, I'll just start off with how I led up to it. I felt like a small lump, like underneath my right nipple, my chest. Yeah, I'm calling it a chest right now, okay? Because to a guy,
see,
we think it's a chest.
You have pecs. Those pecs are called breasts.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But to a guy is gonna be like chest, So I felt this small lump. It didn't hurt anything. It was nothing like that. So I was just like, oh, maybe I got, bit by a bug or something, or a spider, something like that. And then after a couple of months, it didn't go away. Didn't get bigger, but it didn't go away. It didn't hurt, didn't itch, nothing. Then talking to my wife, I'm like, oh, yeah, this thing is still here. Then she's like, yeah, you might want to get that checked out. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. So I waited like another month.
Wow. Hold on. We got to pause. Hold on. Okay. You already know. You heard it. You've heard it so many times.
Yeah.
But I want to ensure people here, he did say he waited a couple of months. Finally said something to his spouse. And waited a little while longer. So I just want to ensure everybody does hear that, and we're going to pick back up with that. Please proceed.
Yes. So I waited another month, and I work in a healthcare field, so I'm just, go set an appointment and just go, so I set an appointment and I went, and initially, the person who saw me at first was like, it's probably not, probably nothing, anything big. It could be, it's probably some other things or whatever. So then you need this medication, and you take this medication for, a couple months, and then, if it, it should go away. And if it doesn't go away, come back, So of course, I'm listening to the profession. They're professionals, but they tell us, how to, our health care. I'm like, okay, cool. So I did that. Nothing changed, didn't get any bigger, didn't get any smaller, didn't itch, didn't have a rash, nothing, and it was barely visible, but it was there. So this, like I said, so now 3 months later, and I'm like, go back. I'm like, hey, this didn't go away or whatever. So the person I went to go see, he was like, okay, well, I'm going to have somebody else take a look at it, So the person that they set up an appointment with me to have it take a look at it was a surgeon, and this is what happened. And I'm telling you, and I'm going to do this in almost real time.
Please keep it in the way 100.
It's in almost real time.
Because we need to know.
Walk in to the doctor's office, okay, doctor comes in, shakes my hand. Hey, Kelvin, how you doing? I'm doing all right. He's like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm here to take a look at that, that small, lump or bump or something that you have. I'm like, okay, pull my shirt up, takes a look at it, looks at it, touches it, says, oh, we got to get that out. We got to get that out. We got to take a look at that. That may be, it's a possibility. It could be breast cancer. It could be some other things. We got to take a look at this right now. And then he's like, I'm going to send my assistant in here, and we're going to set up an appointment, so we can do a biopsy, and I'll see you there. So how long did that take? That took about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Literally, that's how fast that appointment was. And I was like, oh, okay, and that was it. His assistant came in, said we set an appointment for the surgery. Then they, told me, my instructions for the surgery. And it's like, I had some follow-up instructions on the appointment, hey, doctor's going to, is going to do surgery, do a biopsy, going to test it for, cancer and all other stuff, just so I could be prepared, mentally prepared, and that's exactly what he did. Actually, that surgery was a week and a half later. They immediately got me in. They got me in immediately, and it wasn't, and I found this out later, it wasn't like they got me in immediately. It was like, oh my gosh, this is something,
right.
It was just like, the timing, I was able to get in. I was able to get in, sooner about that. And then, so had the biopsy, had the surgery, had to wait. It's this waiting period.
See,
that waiting period, that's where the anxiety comes in.
Okay.
During that waiting period from when you have your biopsy to when you find out, when they tell you what your situation is, if you have, breast cancer, what stage it is, did it spread, all this other stuff, that time.
So because you just said that's when your anxiety came in the wait period.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, and I'm going to go back to what you said, when the surgeon came in, you said just like that, it was like, oh no, we need to touch it. We need to do something about that. When he said the word breast cancer, what do you recall what came to your mind? Like, did anxiety not kick in then, or when you like, was the man like, whatever, where were you at?
You're right. The machoism of men is going to always come through.
Talk to that.
For me, I don't think that was it. It was like, well, I knew that there was a possibility that men could have breast cancer.
You know that prior too?
Yeah, I knew that prior. I didn't think that it would be me, and I didn't know anybody, so I didn't think anything like that. But I think it's just part of just my faith and just kind of the type of person who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, so even though, he looked at it, touched it, and said, I got to get this out, and it could be whatever, I was like, okay. I'm like, okay, well, let's do what it is we got to do. And I think one reason why I felt that way is because I didn't feel any type of effects. You know what I'm saying? When you think about, when you hear the word, cancer or any other type of illnesses, a lot of times people, it just has this stigma of,
Right.
people being sick and you can't
Right.
do, whatever. I feel different.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm like, okay, well, that's what you got to do.
It's been here for several months.
Yeah,
I've been doing the same.
What you got to do, man? You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Go home and still, even do further and watch football. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you got to do, and do what you got to do. So
Oh my God.
so the anxiety kicked in, because when you get the biopsy, that's what makes it all. To me, that's what made it real. That's what and not even real that, I might have something. It might be breast cancer. It made it real, like, well, there's something.
There's totally.
There's something going on for them to be like, okay, we need to get this out and take a look at it.
Totally.
So during that time, I just continued doing what I was doing. Like I said, there was a little anxiety.
Right.
I didn't say anything to any of my kids or anything about it.
Okay.
During that time.
Okay. During the wait period.
During the wait period.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't say anything to them until I finally got, I got the call. The doctor's like, hey, you have early stage 2 breast cancer. We're gonna have another surgery or whatever. You're gonna have another biopsy. Go look at the lymph nodes or something. Make sure that it didn't spread. But he was like, from what we see now, it looks like it didn't. But we're gonna,
precautionary measure.
Do that. And I'm like, okay. So when he told me, and it was over the phone, and he told me, I know it was over the phone, which was cool with me, and he told me, and he kind of paused, when he told me. I said, so I guess they're used to breaking that news of people, and people having all type of reactions. You know what I'm saying?
I bet definitely the reactions, but I'm telling a male.
Yes.
And then I don't care. It's different when you're telling a minority male.
Yes.
Because the statistics are different, how it affects minority people, period, with the breast cancer diagnosis. Yeah. But then let's add the layer of he's a male.
Yeah. So he told me, and he kind of paused for a second, and he's like, hey, you all right? I'm yeah, I'm good, man. What's the next steps? Because that's just the way that I kind of think, and and I'm just like, then he was like, okay, I'm gonna have my assistant call you. We're gonna get another surgery set up, whatever. So then we hung up the phone, and then I think that's when I kind of just sat there for maybe a couple minutes and kind of thought about it. I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, it could be, all these different things. It's like, once again, I'm in this space where I don't know certain things.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know certain things, but I do know this one thing. And the first thing I was thinking is, okay, tell my wife what's up. You know what I'm saying? Gotta talk to my kids. Gotta call my mom. I'm, single mother. You know what I'm saying? I gotta call her,
right.
her, or go see her, talk to her. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking about how I'm gonna, but I can honestly tell you though, one of the reasons why I thought about, how am I going to, have this conversation with my family and my loved ones, because I was more concerned about how they were going to react. I wasn't really that concerned about, woe is me, and I got this and that's going to happen. I mean, I know my kids, you know what I'm saying? I know my brothers and sisters. I know my parents. I know how they respond to different stuff. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it was more of, okay, I'm going to tell them, and it's, and I knew my oldest daughter. I know, she's a crybaby sometimes, you know what I'm saying? I know that she was going,
she's just the very in tune, emotional one.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah,
You're not a crybaby. We're just
Nah, you
very,
ain't no crying baby.
you're
You
just
never
very
have, man. You
emotional.
never have.
Use those emotions. That's why we
Yeah,
have.
yeah, and she, that's my rock too, so she always got my back, so I knew that was going,
Yeah.
kind of hit her hard, so, got to think about that, and then just have to have those conversations,
Wow. You know what's so interesting? I'm hearing you talk about, I'm literally hearing me.
Mhm.
And so now my mind just wonders, because Kelvin and I don't talk frequently.
No.
So this is the very first time I am hearing his story along with you. When I was diagnosed, Kelvin was by myself, right? Recently moved up here from the South.
Mhm.
But in the doctor's office, I had the same disposition where you was like, over the phone, he said, you got breast cancer. My physician was asking me all kind of questions. Does anybody in your family have this? So I'm like, so I have breast cancer.
Mhm.
She's like, yes. I'm like, okay, what's next? Let's get, literally, I'm like, let's get this party started.
Yeah.
What's popping?
Yeah.
I said, what? Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah.
So I'm like, totally baffled. That was your mindset. I never knew that because we never had a conversation about it.
No, we never had a conversation about that part, but and this, and other people know this too, depending on what their situation is and how they feel and their faith and all that. It's just, you got to have that positive on it. You can't sit up there and be like, as people, we know that society and the world around us, they hear the word cancer, and then everybody's just like, oh my gosh, gloom and doom. And
come on, talk.
It's gonna be, your outcome is gonna be terrible and all that.
Mm.
And I'm like, no.
Yes.
I'm like, no, that's not gonna be it. And I'm gonna tell you, also, just another part of it too. Like when I got diagnosed and I'm sitting back, and I'm like, okay, I got breast cancer, and I'm sitting back kind of thinking, and I'm like, okay, they're gonna have another surgery, they're gonna, make sure it gets spread. Even though you told me, it's like, hey, as of right now, they look pretty,
right,
look pretty good for you, One of the first things I told myself, and this is no lie and no exaggeration, within like hours of my diagnosis, I was like, oh wow, I get to go out and talk about this and tell the world about male breast cancer. I get to go out and tell people. I get to tell people this because what the deal was with me is, I do this music stuff. I do this DJ stuff where I'm out DJing. But for myself, for some weird reason, years and years ago, I always told myself, this DJ stuff that I'm doing is cool, but it's just like a avenue to get somewhere else. It's like it's a platform. And I really don't know where that platform is, what it is.
Stop it.
And I get kind of emotional even talking about it, because it's real.
We have tissue when we have tear ducts to listen.
Yeah, but it was. But that was like one of the things that I like felt like. I was like, well, I had this platform where I DJ and stuff, and now I get to go out and tell folks, it's like, hey man, guess what? You can, be proactive about your health, and this is something that I'm going through, and I'm born and raised in Portland, so I know a lot of people in places, so it's just like, man, I can be a face. I'm telling myself all this stuff. This is before I even got in contact with anybody or anybody else even knew. And I'm just like, yeah, I get to do this. I get to do this. And then that's when I got a hold. Within a couple of days, that's when I got a hold of certain, agencies and stuff that was like, hey, how can I be a part of your event? And how can I make, how can I be a part of this? Because I want to be involved. And they were just like, oh, well, you could just volunteer. You could be another volunteer. And I was like, no, I'm a DJ and I want to do all stuff. Then I told them, hey, this is what my situation is. And they were like, oh, okay. It's like, oh, all right, And then those folks, they wanted to do a written interview or something for their webpage or something like that. And they did an interview with me. And then that's how things
started
it just kind of stopped rolling, as far as me being able to start having a platform, getting out and talking to folks, But, it was a lot, what I'm saying? It was a lot, and like you had mentioned before, this guys and this machoism and all this other stuff, and I thought about all those different things, and but I tell you, one of the things I didn't think about, I didn't care about, I care what people think about me.
Wait a second.
And tell them, my situation. I'm not concerned about, I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, they're going to be like, oh, hey, did you hear that Kelvin, DJ stop what, we got breast cancer or whatever. I'm like, man, I'm not concerned about that. I'm not even thinking about that. And then also it's just like, when I decided that, when we started having a conversation about treatment, because when we started having conversations about that, and you get hooked up with the oncologists and all this stuff, and, and they were like, hey, well, that, you can, they told me for one thing, it's like, let me go back for a quick second.
Yeah, come on.
So once I had the surgery, it didn't spread anywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
So the surgeon was like, it's removed. It's gone. You don't have it in your body anymore, and they were like, they was like, okay, so your treatment options, it's like, you can, if you want to, you can not even do chemo if you don't want to, whatever, or you can do chemo and all this. And I stopped there. I was like, hold it. I said, okay, I was like, okay, well, let me just say how I feel about this. All this information you guys have, or not all of it, but 99% of it is based on women having breast cancer.
Tons about it. Come on, you got to pause with your doctors and educate.
Yeah, it's about women. So everything, all this information you guys have, and everything you've given me, and all your suggestions is based on women. Well, I'm a guy, so why should I, it's like, why should I not, since the information is based on women, why should I take a different path? You know what I'm saying? It's just like, look, no, I want to do chemotherapy. You know what I'm saying? It's like I want to do, it's just like, if I don't do chemotherapy in 3-4 years down the line, this thing popping back up, it'd be like, whoa, well, I had an option that I didn't take.
Wow.
And I think one reason why the oncologist, said, hey, maybe you don't need to do that, because they don't have a lot of research on men. So they don't, you know what I'm saying? So it was just like, hey, since it's so rare, maybe you don't need to do this. And I'm like, what do you mean I don't need to do it? Why would I not need to do it? I mean, and I said to her, there was a woman, if I was a woman, would you tell me that I don't need to do it? You would say, hey. And then she was like, well, you might get a mastectomy and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, so what's the problem?
See, Kelvin, even with you saying that kind of speaks to, and again, we are all human. It doesn't matter how many initials you have before your name or after one's name, right? But it just goes to show how there's certain biases and there's certain things that is automatically programmed, ingrained in our mind because of the culture and the world we live in. And I commend you, I applaud you for just saying, like, no, I'm speaking about it, I'm talking about it. Why are you discriminating and treating me differently?
Yeah.
I'm a man.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
can I say that?
Yeah, you can say it. And
Because is that how you felt?
well,
Like,
yeah, I kind of felt that way. And I didn't even know if they were even aware that they were even doing it.
that's those unconscious.
That's unconscious stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, and I'm like, no, I'm going the full route. So whatever it is that we need to do, chemo, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because ain't nobody got time for this.
Yeah, so it's like we gonna do the whole thing, So so if I got the whole thing process started with doing that, going to appointments and getting blood drawn and all type of stuff, and I gotta talk about this part too, and because it's a little different for women who have breast cancer. I'm talking about just even going to not getting the blood draw, you know what I'm saying? Just you get the blood draw, it's like, okay, whatever. But going back or going to get medication, because I had to, tamoxifen. I had to get on tamoxifen, okay, which is something that women, it's basically for them. It has different side effects for men and all type of stuff, but just after the first couple times, then I had to, get my blood drawn in between, the treatments and stuff like that. And going back and going in there after those first couple times, and then like, by then, the people who are drawing the blood, they kind of got an idea why the blood is being drawn and what it's going to be used for. You know what I'm saying? So I had people that were just random people that were, men, women, whatever. They looking and they're like, oh, you repeat your name, your birth date, and then it kind of like, they haven't given me this look, and they're like, and I'm like, okay, no big deal. But I had 2 different people during that 6.5 month period of time, 2 different people that drew my blood. It's like, hey, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you? It's just like, so you have breast cancer? You can, it's like, what? When it's like I've never met a person or a guy, or they asked me, could they ask me? I'm like, yeah. You don't know what to ask me. Wow. Man, it's like, I'm about to tell you about it within this minute and a half that you draw the blood, but that happened a few times. Another thing that happened, going to pick up my medication, plus, it's like, I have my tamoxifen, and they give you other stuff for like pain or for side effects, whatever, which actually I didn't take a lot of that stuff. I don't like taking a lot of medication.
I get that.
So a lot of stuff that, that combats, the feelings that you have and the nausea and all that from the chemotherapy. I took that just a bare minimum of it because I just didn't want to take it,
Right.
But it was at least 3 times I went to go pick up my medications where, you pull your number, you go walk to the pharmacy and they go get it and they're like, tamoxifen, is that right? Tamoxifen, is that right?
Wow.
At least 3 times. Tamoxifen, is that right? Tamoxifen, this is for you?
Wow.
At least 3 times.
At the pharmacy. So you're talking about the pharmacy.
The pharmacy.
The workers there.
The worker at the pharmacy. The medical professional saying, tamoxifen, is that right? Is that for you?
So, Kelvin, I'm glad that you're here and we're talking about this. So it's like, what do we need to do to dismantle just even the mindset and the stigma that's in the mind of our medical professionals?
And it's
what do we do?
I want to say it's education, but before
education,
that's what I'm saying. That's all I was going to say. Before you have education, you got to have awareness. Just be aware that something like this can happen. You know, just be aware that there's people out there that have had conditions that are different than what you're used to. You know, and just be aware of it. And I think that some people's curiosity, you know, I think the people who was drawing my blood, I think their curiosity was just way too high. They were just like, I'm going to see if I'm going to, and there's another part of that I should add to that part as far as like going to get my blood. Keep in mind, I work at a healthcare facility. Okay, so I'm on the campus of this healthcare facility where I work at, and I'm getting treatment at the same place or near the same place. I think, yeah, you know, so a couple of times when I was going to get my blood drawn, it was people who I've seen before on the campus. And because of my role that I had, you know, the role that I had as an executive admin assistant, you know, supporting the COO of that place, you know, the healthcare, you know, and I'm in meetings and I'm visible. So people are, you know, so people kind of see me. And so, you know, so the people that asked me that were people who had seen me on campus and they seen me. So that's why they told me they felt comfortable, you know, asking me because they'd seen me. They knew that I worked, that they knew that I worked there and stuff like that, you know.
That's a whole other element in it, though.
Yeah, that's a whole other element because I was blessed enough for the person that I was supporting to, you know, to say, hey, man, you know, I mean, because it was just like, okay, I guess you got to take, you know, your leave of absence and all this stuff and whatever for 6.5 months and whatever, fill out the paperwork and all this other stuff. And I told him, I was like, no, I want to work, man. I want to work, you know? And he was like, well, you know, if they say you can work, I'm like, yeah, they said that I can work. They prefer if I can work from home, if I can work remotely, you know, but, you know, if it's okay with you, you know? And he was like, man, if it's okay, yeah, if that's what you want to do, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't expect it. That's another thing that, you know, it's like, oh, you're going to be in chemo for 6.5 months and you can't work and you can't do stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's just part of what society, certain parts of, they kind of think this because they're used to seeing that with people. They're not used to people saying, hey, no, you know, no. So the person I support, he was like, okay, man, well, hey, you know, you're the admin assistant, man, go online and go talk to the IT people, get, you know, whatever setup you need for home. And then you go ahead and you work, you know, you work from home any days that you can.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like any days you can't do it, don't do it.
Yes.
Don't force yourself to do it. If you can't do it, it's like, we developed a plan, you know, for my backup, you know, whatever it is, like whatever. It's like, you know, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, cool. So within a week, you know, I had my home set up, you know, like a little work from home. I get to watch sports sitting in the background while I'm working. You know what I'm saying?
He wasn't working, though.
I was working, don't get me wrong. It was only the background. I didn't even have the volume turned up. Then you had a boss, so don't be doing that now. Okay.
You still.
Okay, yeah, it's 10 years ago, so don't be trying to go back, you know. But I actually I worked most of the time. So I worked I'll probably say, well, I'm gonna put it this way, the only days that I didn't work was days when I had my treatments. And I tried to even schedule those to be in the afternoon so I could work in the morning. Okay. And then and when I had my treatments, it's like that next day I was okay. That second day, I started kind of feeling, it always seemed like that second and a half of that third day is when, that's when you start feeling the effects of the chemo. That's when it's like, you know, the body ache and the deep, I want to say a deep bone pain.
Ooh, you had to get the shot.
Oh man, it was like
that new Lester helped my life.
man, yeah. That you know, though I didn't actually I didn't do that. I mean, they gave me some pain pills, just like, hey, take these, whatever, and I still only took those when I absolutely had to, which wasn't that much. To me,
let's keep it 100. You was stubborn. You was hurting.
I was stubborn. Oh yeah, and my wife knew I was stubborn. You know, though, but I wasn't stubborn enough where I was like, oh man, you know, I mean, when I was hurting, you know, I was hurt. You know, when I felt it, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, it just being tired.
Yeah.
You know, just your body felt tired and being exhausted. You know what I'm saying? So when I felt it, you know, when I was hurting. I was like, okay, well, guess I'm not working today. You know, I'm gonna turn the volume up now on Sports Center.
Turn the volume up. But you know what, Kelvin? I honor and appreciate where you work. This was before the pandemic.
This is before the pandemic.
So now, when everybody is working at home, that they were willing to create that space for you to be able to work on. For myself, the type of work I was involved in, I was in residential treatment. So it was a lot of hands-on with kids that had mental issues, physically aggressive, you know, the whole gamut. That wasn't...
Yeah, you couldn't do that. That wasn't the option for you.
But what I do appreciate and love about the company that I work for then, they created a position for me.
Wow.
So I was in the medical field. I wasn't doing that. But it actually was a position I was doing with the company when I resided in Memphis, Tennessee. But they brought the position here to the Portland, Oregon area. So I would say for both of our employers, because I know everybody doesn't have that story.
No, they don't. And I was actually shocked.
Yeah.
I was, because I told, you know, I thought my boss was going to be like, hey, Kelvin, look, I know you, you know, be cool. I know the type of person you are, man, just don't need, you know, just chill. You know what I'm saying? You know, I thought that's what he was going to probably say, you know, and he was like, oh, okay. You know, we could make this happen if you want. And I told him when he said that, I told him why it was important to me. I said, it's important to me to keep a regular lifestyle, maintain the regular things that I do. It's like, if I'm just sitting at home, can't work or anything, that's when depression and all type of other stuff and the whole mental. Yeah, it's like, that's when all that stuff seeps in, because you're like, oh my gosh, I got chemo, I can't do anything. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, unless I physically can't work, or I just can't do it that day. Right. It's like, why would I not be able to maintain doing what I'm doing? And then I told him, and all this stuff that I'm telling you about, this is before I even started chemo. So I didn't even know what the chemo was going to do to me. So I just told him, hey man, this is what I want to do. And then, like I said, I told my wife, I'm like, look, I don't know how this chemo thing is going to work. And I know there's certain things that I probably should and shouldn't do, but that's what I told you. I will say told. Say, honey, no, I didn't tell you. We had a conversation. I presented to you, and you allowed me to do this, and I love you for this.
Happy wife.
Okay. Oh man, sure. But I was just like, yeah, and like I said, say any of the gigs that I already had set that I was doing, it's just like, I want to continue to do those. It's like, I won't accept anything new, which I'm always getting presented about other stuff.
Right.
You know, I said, but the stuff I already had, and I had a couple of things that were, it was with during the last Thursday on Alberta Street, okay. You know, and that was a big deal.
Event.
And I was at this place off of 15th and 16th in Alberta, where that was the only place where they were allowed to have live bands. And now, if you go there, they have bands, they have DJs, every block, and all this. They didn't have all this back then. the entertainment had to just be acoustic. But this one little parking lot area, which was happened to be a Black-owned, it's the own radio cab, Black-owned business. You know, the person who owned that, they was like, they had a couple of food trucks, and they had they built the stage so bands could play.
Oh, wow.
So I was like the DJ and quote unquote MC, you know, co-MC of that event. So I wanted to really continue to do that because I'm like, see, this is my first platform. This is it. That's what I remember what I said. And I remember, and when I even thought about all that, that was one of the things I thought about. I'm like, oh man,
wow,
I get to go, I get to do this, and I get to just
your face
people.
lights up when you say that's not normal. You know, that's kind of abnormal.
Man. Oh, is it? Oh, I don't know. For me, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, but to me, I was just like, ooh, I get to tell folks, I get to bring it out, you know. And then when one of those next events happened was right after my first treatment, my first chemo treatment. And, you know, I didn't know how things was, you know, I didn't know how I was going to feel, you know. So it was like, that Thursday was like the day after my first treatment. I felt fine. You know, my wife was like, hey, you know, hey, how you going? I'm like, yeah. Well, you know what I'm saying? So I did my thing, you know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And
listen.
And, you know, but it was important to keep that regular schedule, that regular life to continue to do the things that you always
1000%
that you always do, because this is what keeps you strong. This is what keeps that mentality going, keep that positivity going, you know. And you know, and I wasn't concerned about, you know, after those first 4 treatments, you know, I think it was after the first 4 treatments, you know, when the hair and stuff start falling out. You know what I'm saying? I'm already bald.
You know
what I'm saying? I'm already bald. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, my you know, eyebrows, you know, I keep everything, you know, it was already kind of low. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, so to me, I wasn't concerned about how am I gonna look.
Yeah.
You know, and I was just like, man, in fact, I'm even gonna embrace it.
Yeah.
So if anybody's like, hey, you look a little different, I'll be like, oh, well, let me tell you why. Let me tell you why.
Wow.
So I even kind of embraced it. I'm just like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Well, I could honestly say the whole time I didn't have no hair or anything, I probably had like maybe 3 people come up to me and say, hey, you look a little different. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I didn't get no sleep last night, you know. Look, okay. You know, and I told those people, you know what I'm saying? But you know, I wanted to, like I said, I wanted that platform. I wanted to use a platform I had. I wanted to keep my regular schedule because I thought it was important to do that. And there's so many subtle ways that me in my position, you know, as a male breast cancer survivor, that we can have these conversations and we can talk to folks. And we can do it in a way where they can understand.
Yes. Yeah.
Because that's what communication is all about. Communication is about, you know, me saying things a particular way in a way that you're going to be able to understand it and receive it.
Right.
You know, so, you know, like I said, you know, just sometimes just, you know, going to events or being out and just wearing stuff that had the breast cancer colors.
Right.
You know, and then people would, you know, some people would ask, hey, why do you do there a particular reason why you wear that pink and, you know, and black or whatever? And I'm just like, you know, yeah, you know, or, you know, just certain little things, you know, that give me the platform to talk about it, you know, and that's what I did. And like I said, I was able to have conversations with people individually, you know, about my situation.
Yeah.
In 2016 or whatever, 2015, when I started, you know, my chemo and all that stuff, I did my first article, like I said, with the organization. They wanted to write an article about it and just whatever for their website. That was cool. Through that article, I had people contact me. I had the local news stations, at radio stations, I had people contacting me because they were just like, oh, we don't hear too much about this.
Or
and we want to
somebody that's open and willing to talk about it.
That's
ashamedly.
Exactly.
That
part is important. And I'm going to tell you that, and there's a guy who he's a breast cancer survivor. And he was one of the first people that reached out to me when he saw the article from that organization. You know what I'm saying? And this person, we developed a relationship. And he's a person who he has it, but he's not vocal like me. You know what I'm saying? So when he even saw me, kind of saw that I was getting out doing stuff, he'd send me messages. Man, thank you for talking about it. Thank you for bringing it up and talking about it. He's like, I don't have that type of personality. I don't have this type of, stuff. So, thank you for doing it. Because a lot of men don't, I'm like, hey, man, I'm doing it not just for me, not just for you, but for the community and the community that I grew up in as a Black man in Northeast Portland.
See that part right there.
Yeah.
But you know what? I know that also did happen. You planted seeds, and he was able to vocalize it somewhere even more, right?
Yes.
And it grew.
Yes, he did, because there were events or stuff where we were at where he spoke, or he got some type of recognition or something like that, and he didn't have any problem doing that.
There we go.
He didn't have any problem doing that. And he's like, hey, hey, Kelvin, thank you for just putting it out there. And it's almost like he didn't want to be the first guy around because of the stigma that goes with this whole male breast cancer thing. Like, guys can't get breast cancer, and it never happened to them. And I'm gonna tell you, through the conversations that I've had with people, like I said, I'm born and raised in this community. A lot of people know who I am. I'm out, performing or DJing or whatever. I mention it, every once in a while. I'd say things, and hey, if you're going through anything, it's all cool. Just stay positive. I'm going through this myself. Tell them what it is, whatever. I've had people come up to me and just be like, oh, wow, man, I didn't even know guys could even get that. You said, on top of that, I didn't know guys, if they got it, they can overcome it. And then one of the things I always preach is just be proactive about your health. It's like what I did, it took a minute.
Right.
It took a minute. It took me some months, to do. I said, but what I did, what I'm saying? But I knew that it's like, I knew that I had to advocate for myself.
Right.
I couldn't wait for somebody else. And then I think one of the biggest things that made everything kind of just mean a lot to me when we talk about the why, the reason why we do things.
Offline.
You know what I'm saying?
We're talking about the why.
We're talking about the why.
Yes.
When I've had strangers coming to me, I mean, women, strangers, say, hey, I saw your story on the news. Or, hey, I read this article, and my husband came up to me and said, hey, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go, I haven't been to the doctor in 10 years. I'm going to go to the doctor. Yeah. It's like, I'm going to go to the doctor, and I'm going to go get checked out, and I'm going to go, and I'm just going to be more proactive in what I'm doing.
See, that's another, because the purpose of this show, the purpose of this podcast is to talk about each and every one of us experience hardship.
Mm-hmm.
And we're so conditioned to keep those hardships to ourselves. But it's not for us.
Nah.
And just the word you said, community, look at the change and difference that you made, that I make, that you can make and will make.
Yes.
When we realize whatever we've experienced is challenging and crippling and as difficult as it may have been, and it currently is, that hardship is not meant for us, because it shifted the trajectory, it shifted the mindset of somebody else. Because I had that same story happen to me. Somebody said, I'm watching you be a social media, because I was like, I found the lump on my own. I'm going to handle all of it on my own. I ain't telling nobody. But because when I started talking about it, so I'm here in Oregon, somebody back home in Florida, when I've been fighting it. I finally went to go get my memory. It's not for us. any hardship we go through, and it doesn't negate how difficult and challenging it was. Because definitely we had our moments going through cancer treatment, right? We're going to have those why me and just a plethora of different mindsets and emotions, but we didn't stay stuck in it.
No.
That's the thing. Because as we talked about offline, somebody's assigned to your voice.
Yes.
Somebody's assigned to my voice. Somebody's assigned to your voice. And unless we utilized,
they won't even know. They won't even know.
People will think they're by themselves. That man thought he was by himself.
That man thought he was, and like I said, I had several people come up to me, just random people, just come up to me and be like, and on top of that, guys, people who I've been knowing for 35, 40 years, and we know how this whole thing is with the Black community and how they feel about healthcare treatment and things that's happened years ago.
You trying to you got enough time,
So when people saw me, I had guys who I've been knowing, it was like, hey man, I ain't been to the doctor. I'm scared to go to the doctor. I ain't been to the doctor in 25 years, but guess what? I'm going now. Guess what? I'm going now, and I'm going to get this checked out, and I'm going to, you know what I'm saying? People who I know, and what was so powerful to me about that is it's people that I know. I had guys coming to me who were people I've been knowing forever, and emotional about it. Like, yo, man, thank you. And I'm like, man, look, man, this is what success looks like.
Come on. That's it.
This is what being proactive looks like. It's like, how many people do we know in the community? We hear about stuff on social media, or we hear about them in family, and it's like, oh man, so-and-so passed away, so died. Man, I wonder what happened with them. But a lot of times we don't know what happened, but sometimes we find out, and it could be an example, man. It could be something that they could have done on their own to prevent that from happening. And you don't know. I know in another part of it, and I don't mean to, just keep rambling and just, whatever. But nothing about it is how their heads and how we take care of it, how it affects the people around us and that we love it, how it affects them.
Come on and talk about it.
So if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not giving yourself an opportunity to take care of the people that may be dependent on you, or the people that love you and care about you.
1,000.
So it's like,
it's kind of selfish.
It is.
That's what I realized. It's selfish to not manage and take care of myself. It's selfish to say, if you have a history of cancer or something, and that's not shared with the people we say that we care about, because if it's something genetically, they need to know about those things, right? And that's not taking it to the grave and talking about it. That's basically like pulling the trigger right on.
And you're right about that, because that's one thing that they do. Once we get our diagnosis, they ask us, hey, people in your family that they have do whatever.
So did you?
So no, not breast cancer that I was aware of. There's people in my family tree that, of course, I've had cancer, but not breast cancer. But one thing they want to do, they want to be like, okay, your biological children,
need to be there. We go.
Be whatever. So they need to be tested.
There we go.
And they didn't have no problem being
there. We go.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I'm saying. How it just, you have to be aware of, of how, how you take care of yourself or don't take care of yourself,
right?
How that impacts your loved ones and your family.
1,000%.
And all that, because these diseases and these things that people have, it affects
everybody. Yeah, it's not
it doesn't affect us.
1,000%.
So talking about it is, awareness is, to me, one of the things that's really important to me. And when I get involved with organizations or different people, different organizations say, hey, how can you, or we want to, we want you to be involved in our organization. And a lot of times it'd be people like, we're going to have this fundraiser thing. We want you to help fundraise and all that. I tell them straight up, it's like, you know what? I'm not that big on the fundraising thing. I said, that doesn't mean that I'm not willing to do it or I can't or won't. I said, my thing is
Avenue. Come on, talk about the app. Yes, that's good. That's good.
That's what this is like, yes, we need to raise money, you know what I'm saying, to do research. And yes, we can do all that stuff. I said, but my thing is, my role where my higher power says I can be utilized best is awareness.
That's good.
Because that's the main thing that I see, for the community that I'm born and raised in and the people that I deal with all the time. And the one thing that's possibly lacking just from what I see about this whole thing about breast cancer is a lot of men ain't aware that they can get it. They're not being proactive when they think they can have it. And it's just not just about the breast cancer. It's about your health in general.
Yes. Well,
So it's like, so I tell these folks, and there's a couple organizations that's been like, well, you could probably do better on your fundraising. And I'm like, yeah, we all could. I said, but I'm doing great on my awareness.
Come on.
I'm letting you know. I'm doing great on that. And I'm gonna keep on doing it.
Keep on keeping on.
To be a part of an organization to do that. I don't need to be on TV or on the radio or whatever. Y'all, it helps out. I said, but my pure existence, in interactions with people is the awareness that I can help bring to Black men, to the Black population, man, to everything. I said, so I belong. So hey, when I'm blessed to wake up in the morning, that's okay.
There it is, awareness right there. You know what? There's so much we talked about. There's some things I feel as though a few things our audience would definitely love to know about. Because we definitely talked about your process, because we talked about the men and the manhood. I do want to ask you though, two things before we get ready to wrap up. Let's go back to manhood and the machoism, and let's go to that. What words of wisdom do you have for our female listeners who may have a male in their life who's been diagnosed with breast cancer? And is there a message you also have specifically for a man that's diagnosed with breast cancer right now, found out? What words of wisdom you experiencing that would you share with them?
I'd say for the women, be supportive. Listen. Listen to what your partner is what they have to say, what they're going through, because it's something different and everybody reacts different. You know what I'm saying? So just, don't just be like, oh my gosh, you know what I'm saying? You're this or you're that. Just let them be and let them talk. Whatever, And for men, the one thing I can say is, like I said, always be proactive. That's after the fact, you know what I'm saying? But what you need to do is just understand your body and who you are, and understand that you have to advocate for the situation that you're in. That would be the best thing I can say for them when they're in the situation. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to, to reach out and be like, hey, can you give me more information? Or where can I find more information? Or do you have more information for me? Because to me, that was a big deal. Because a lot of the stuff, I'm gonna bring up one situation. Okay, so, I'm into probably my 5th year or something, 6th year or something like that, you know what I'm saying, of being recovered. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking these medications. I'm talking about a period of time. So, I'm still taking months of it. I have to take 10 years. This will be my last year. Hey, Dan. I'm saying? But, so I was talking to my oncologist, and then she was like, hey, they're talking about being able to have, the breast exam that women take, the mammography.
Oh.
Is that what they call it?
Well, yes, mammograms. Yep, I want to get that mammogram.
They're like, they're talking about possibly being able to have a way to do that for men. Also, it's like a lot of places aren't doing it, and a lot of places haven't done it, and they've been trying to figure out ways to do it, and I was like, okay, well, I'll do it. So
you don't have to tell me twice.
Yeah, so the oncologist, she just is talking about, hey, they're talking about it, but we haven't. And I was like, whoa, hold it. How come we not doing it? How come we keep doing it? I mean, what's the deal? And she's like, well, there's not a lot of tissue, and it may be really painful, whatever. I'm like, okay, well, just tell my oncologist. I said, okay, well, you said there's not a lot of tissue. Okay, cool. You said it may be painful. Well, how do you know? You don't know if it's painful unless somebody go through it and they tell you what the experience was. How do you don't know? I want you to have the information.
Drop the mic, exit stage left. Come on and help.
I want you to have the information to get to your next.
That's good.
To your next male breast cancer patient.
Good.
I want all this stuff that we've been going through, that whatever. I want you to use this information with that next person, because there will be a next. There no way.
Unfortunately, you're right. Yeah.
And then she was like, "Well,
this.
Okay, then. All right, then. Well, I'll get in contact with the people at the place I need to go to." And they was like,
"Wow,
yeah, we'll set up an appointment and see how it goes." And I'm like, "Hey, that's
good."
And I mean, and they was just like, "This is something you probably don't even have to do at all."
It's like because you
have to even do this at all. It's like your cancer is being removed, whatever. I'm like, look, I'm trying to do everything I can, I'm saying, to make sure that I prevent this from coming back and whatever. And if I miss anything, it's going to be on me.
And then it's not about you, right? It's like you said, it's for the community, it's for the next person. I'm not making it all about me. Once I got over me, it's not about me. That's so good. See, so you did a work in educating the providers and helping them to just as they do. And again, this is no shade to our medical professionals, because they are necessities, but that's education is reciprocated, right?
Yes.
So that's so good.
That you have to advocate for yourself. And
that's so good.
My oncologist person, we had such a good relationship, what I'm saying, or whatever. And like I said, I worked for a healthcare provider, that I got approached by news organizations that wanted to interview both of us. Because the oncologist person said something to somebody, I don't know who, it's like, hey, I'm working with this one person. She was going by name or that,
right.
But I learned a lot.
Whoops.
I learned a lot.
Wait, your oncologist said what?
I learned a lot. So
that's so good.
And we did like a couple of interviews and stuff together. We talked about some basic stuff, but it was just like, this is
it. That's so good. That's so good. So profound, Kelvin. And I know for myself, I learned a lot because again, we've been knowing each other for several years since that diagnosis, but we've never had the chance and the opportunity to sit down and discuss what your journey was, what your journey is. And the purpose of this is to let people know their hardships, it's not for themselves. They're not by themselves. And even if we're in the midst of something, you too can still conquer whatever fight you're enduring in life. And there's somebody who needs to hear our voice, who needs to hear our story, so that they are aware that they're not alone as well, right? So I thank you so much for that. I think if there are two things, what major lesson did you get and learned even about yourself or how you perceive the world after diagnosis. That was one. And then our last one would be, if nobody remember anything that we talked about here, which I would find that very hard to believe, and we need to get that wax out your ears. But if they didn't remember anything, what words would you want to leave them with? So what lesson did you get, and what words would you want to leave?
I'd say the lesson would be that I'm a lot stronger than I thought that I probably could be. And I never even thought about my strength, being a person, being a man, or whatever. But I never thought that if I was in a particular situation that I would react the way that I reacted. As far as like, oh, okay, well, let's get this taken care of. Well, okay, let's use this platform. Well, okay, let's look at the positive side of this. I've never, that's the lesson I definitely learned. I mean, I would have never thought, because you don't think about yourself being in these situations for one thing. So that was definitely a lesson. I was just like, and it was instantaneous.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like I had to think about it. I was like, oh.
So it's in you.
It's like, this is who I am.
It's in you. It's in us.
It's like, this is who I am. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, let's, and that was a big lesson.
Wow.
And as far as like, if they didn't pay any attention to any of this stuff, I would go back to what I continue to say: be proactive in your health and be an advocate for your own health, because nobody can advocate for your health like you can. Nobody can. Only you. Only
That's
you can
good.
advocate, because we have all these people, we go places and they tell us, hey, this is what's wrong.
Right.
This is whatever. But there's people that go to the doctor, they lie to their people. They don't tell them everything.
Yeah.
So they're being quote unquote misdiagnosed because the physician or whatever is diagnosing them on the information they have.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So these people may never even get over what situation they're in. They may never, because they aren't even honest. So if you just be honest with yourself, be proactive in your health and advocate for yourself, because only you know how you feel.
Right.
And it's not just the physical, it's the mental, and it's the impact that you have with all your loved ones and the people around you. So just keep that in mind. And as long as you do that and advocate for yourself, and be proactive in your health, you're going to have a beautiful life.
That's good.
This right here.
Right here.
This is what.
This is it. Listen, yes, this is success, community, talking about it, caring for other people. I love it. Thank you so very much for being here and just sharing your journey, your story, sharing your hardship. And that's what this is about, sharing our hardships, because it's not for us. It's not about us. And we don't want people to feel like they're alone. How can people reach you if they want to know more about you or get in contact with you? How can they reach you, Kelvin?
They can Facebook. I'm on social media. Willie Dynamite.
Willie Dynamite. Okay.
Facebook, when I started getting on social media, I was watching the movie and I was just, hey, I saw him running down the steps like that, all cool. I'm like, so Willie Dynamite on Facebook, Instagram, Dynamite W.
Okay.
So those are the best ways to get a hold of me. People, if you want to send me a message there or send me an email, you can see I'm old school, 100% authentic old school. You can send me an email at Dr.1365
There it is.
That's DOCTOR1365 I am more than willing to talk to anybody.
That's good.
Anybody about this. I mean, anybody, you know what I'm saying, at any level. Or if you have any questions or anything,
that's good.
I'm here for you, because.
And he's a DJ, so if you need a DJ as well, don't forget that. We want to talk about that as well, right?
See the hat,
There is,
see the colors.
you see the hat and the color.
Hat colors. Yeah, DJ Dr. Rock. There's a lot of Dr. Rocks out there, so don't look for that. Look really dynamite.
Look for that. With me.
Yeah. You'll see a picture. You see, you know it's me. Hey, but yeah, so you'll see me out doing community events. If you want to come up and say hi, hello, or you have any questions about any of this stuff, you can feel free to come chat with me anytime. Like I said, I'm out doing many community events, different stuff. So I'm out there.
Oh, I love it. It was an absolute pleasure having you here, my friend.
Hey, when Tamika calls,
oh gosh, here we go.
Tamika calls, you better answer. Better answer. You better answer.
This guy, with that, we're gonna go ahead and close out.
Yeah.
Thank you again so much. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, all of my fellow conquerors, we'll see you next time.